Hi, Josh.
What's up, Robin?
So, thanks for being on the very first episode of Pedalpocalypse.
Pedalpocalypse.
Pedalpocalypse. Pedalpocalypse. And the concept of this show, as I've explained to you, but I'll explain to everyone at home, is, well, it's based on desert island discs, right? So if you could only take a certain amount of records on a desert island with you, what would they be? But this is, if you were forced to be in lockdown, much like we are now, what would be the 3 pedals that you would take with you on lockdown to get you through that time?
So for me, it's Love Pedal Chula #1. And I guess if anybody knows me, they probably know that would be my first choice. It's been my main pedal for about 15 years. I helped design it with Love Pedal. It was my ideas. And if you've heard me play in the last 15 years, 98% of the time you've heard this guitar into that pedal, into some Fender style amp, and that's a large part of my sound. So that would be my main drive boost pedal. It is my main drive boost pedal, and I can't live without it.
What would be, if someone doesn't know that pedal, what would be the kind of the closest type of pedal that they could relate that to?
It's kind of a dirty boost, if that makes sense. It's very organic. It has 2 sides, and the first side has no knob. So it couldn't even be simpler if you tried. Like, it's a switch on and off, and that's it. And it's preset in gain to just below half, based on the original Love pedal called the Church of Tone, the COT 50. So it's not that dissimilar from a Z-Vex super hard-on, like a boost, but with a little more gain. It's not an overdrive, it's not a distortion, but depending on how loud your amp is and how much output your pickups have, it has more than enough gain for me. But the main thing is it's incredibly responsive and dynamic. And that's what I look for in all my gear. I try to eliminate compression and have maximum dynamics. And this is, to me, the most organic dynamic pedal there is.
So with your amp, would you normally set your amp clean with that? Or?
I set my amp kind of just on the verge of breaking up, just on the edge of breakup. But I like amps with a lot of headroom. So that means pretty loud then, to be breaking up just a little teeny bit. But I don't like amps that fold over because the Chula has a lot of gain. So I want the amp to be able to take it. Not a lot of gain, but a lot of volume boost. So the amp needs to be able to hold its ground, I guess, when I turn it on.
Cool. Do you want to play a little bit?
So here's nothing. And here's the Chula. You can hear if I roll down a little bit, it's like it's not even on. But if I dig in, that's through a 12-watt Princeton reverb style amp. Through 40 watts, it even has, a little more gain, a little more oomph. And then it has the second side, which is basically the same as the first, but with a knob. And I set that to be a slight boost over the regular side. So here's the first side. Here's the second side. I can play whole gigs literally on bridge pickup with the Chula on and never turn it off, never change, and just roll my volume, and cover most bases pretty much. It's just a really dynamic pedal.
If there were any limitations to that, what would it be?
Oh, well, it doesn't do super sustainy overdrive. It's not a tube screamer. It's not a Dumble style pedal or a Zen Drive or a DS1 or something like that. So if I need more sustain, I may use a different pedal. But I don't use a ton of gain. I don't need to hold notes forever. So it just works for me. It kind of just fits my sound. And if anything, it kind of influenced me to go further. I guess maybe down the path I was already going with my style and my playing, and it just married together really well with what I do.
So pedal number 2.
Pedal number 2. All right, well, that would be a fuzz. and it's my Myriad fuzz from Vemoram from Japan, and this is my signature fuzz that I designed with them. I had ideas in this pedal I've been literally carrying around and trying to get people to make me for years. And it's both a silicon and a germanium fuzz. They're in parallel. You can bias the germanium side, and then it hits the silicon side. You can kind of lean it one way or the other. The other thing is it has extreme amounts of volume, because the one thing about fuzz faces that always drove me crazy were even full up, they weren't really that loud. And the Chula is loud, as you heard. So I felt like anytime I switched to any fuzz pedal from the Chula, I was dropping. So I needed a fuzz that could stand up to the Chula, basically. So basically it's like a fuzz face with two different, germanium and silicon diodes that we could stack and change sounds. And then it has a tone control and a feel control and a germanium bias control. So it does a lot. It's like a working man's fuzz, but still sounds like a vintage fuzz, basically. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, give us a...
Yeah, so here's nothing. It's a really loud pedal. But again, it cleans up.
So that kind of gives you that extra thing that the other pedal doesn't
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I found over the years I drifted away from regular overdrive. I liked what the Chula did, and then if I wanted more, I'd go more for fuzz or something like that, something different, or maybe Marshally distortion. But I moved away from like what I used to always be my bread and butter, which is, overdrive, tube screamer type pedals, Now I use tube screamer type pedals only with a Strat, and when I really want to get that sound that's, from my childhood, that typical sound. But most of the time it's either the Chula or fuzz.
Mm. And it sounds like it's got a nice thick rhythm sound too.
Oh,
So it fills out, and does that also, when you're playing with the volume, can you again play with that from a rhythm point of view as well?
Oh yeah, like I'll use it in sessions all the time for big. But yeah, if I roll down. Yeah, you'll find a common thread. If it's a piece of gear I like, it's probably dynamic. It probably rolls up good with the volume, cleans up, reacts to pickups well, reacts to dynamics well. That's important to me.
Because it's such a high gain, how much does that affect the amp itself, like the input and the output?
It affects it a little bit, but I don't stack it very much with anything else.
Right.
It's usually by itself as far as gain goes. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll maybe, use it with delay or something, or different reverbs or something, but often it's the only gain pedal when I switch to it. The gain pedals I use, I like them to all be in their own lane kind of, and it's normally one or the other. So Chula first, the fuzz second, and then I'll have some tube screamer type pedal, usually the Duelist or something like that, and then some Marshally pedal, like Love Pedal, Purple Plexi, or Echo Plexi. If I was going to have 4 gain pedals, that's what I would have, 4 different flavors like that.
Right.
But, yeah. On the island, only the Chula and the fuzz.
Cool. So pedal number 3.
All right, so pedal number 3 is kind of like cheating, but it's the Eventide H9, and because that gives me a lot of sounds at my disposal. And it is cheating, but also I really do use this pedal a ton. It's indispensable for me. I've had it on every pedal board I've had since it came out over 10 years ago, and I use so many sounds from it. Leslie's, choruses, flangers, phasers, and then delays, reverbs, even ring modulation, all sorts of stuff out of this pedal. And then on sessions, it's the most indispensable pedal I have because, number one, it has everything available. And number two, it's so easy to control. I can do it with my phone or with my iPad. I'd be sitting on a music stand, and if a producer says to me, hey, I need a reverse delay, okay, I got it. And I don't have to bend down, I don't have to turn around, I just have it, you know, if I need this or that. And not only do I have it, I have a good one, you know. So it really is an incredible pedal and a useful tool for guitar players. But the sound I use in it the most on my own gig is the Leslie sound.
How do you run those three pedals together? Is it just 1, 2, 3? Or?
Yeah, basically. I put the fuzz first, the Chula after it to boost it if I do end up stacking them. And then the H9's always last in my chain. Also, it's stereo, so it splits. If I have 2 amps, it'll split to 2 amps. And I use it for, you know, delays, reverb, so it's always last in my chain. And man, I know it's digital, but it just sounds great, you know. It really is an excellent pedal. Eventide's a great company that makes great stuff.
You know, people have pedals thrown at them all the time. There's so much that you can have, and also there's so many different prices. Like,
the Chula is not expensive. The Myriad fuzz is expensive, and the H9 I think is a bargain for what you get for it. And the other thing about the H9 is it's kind of a la carte. So you can buy one with no sounds on it, and then load it up with algorithms for $20 a pop. Or you can buy one that's unlocked and has every algorithm for $700. So you can spend $399 or $700 and choose kind of what you choose your own adventure with it. You know.
These are obviously the three pedals that give you the most versatility from a pedal board if you were forced to strip everything down. What would be alternatives that people could find if it was out of their budget? Do you have other kind of like, you know, these things do the same sort of things if you don't have those big bucks?
Yeah, I would buy a Love Pedal COT50, which is the single-sided version of the Chula kind of. You can find the Amp 50 version he made for $89 all day long on Reverb. For a fuzz, I would buy, you know, honestly, I'd buy like the Eric Johnson Dunlop fuzz, the small one, or the Joe Bonamassa fuzz is really good. And you can get the mini, you know, the germanium one. Those are really good, and they're small, and they're easy to find in any Guitar Center. As far as the H9, there's really nothing that does all that it does at a cheap price factor. Like, there's some of those Mooer pedals and stuff that are multi-effect, but they're just not on the same level.
But kind of in that instance, you'd be like, just whichever sound you want, just hone in on that one thing.
Exactly.
Go for the
Well, if you're going to save money on the first two, then I'd spend the money on the H9.
One thing that's really cool is that you're going to be the first guest on our new show, which is called Bungalow Paradise Live. Which kind of, you know, lockdown has forced us to rethink how we do music and how we approach it. And so our response was kind of, let's create a show that is based from our house because we're in lockdown. And thankfully you're close enough to us that you can come on board. So we're super excited to have you. And so on that show, we're going to be doing a bunch of live songs with our band Bo Grigri and the Apocalypse. You're going to bring your Pedalpocalypse pedal board with you.
Man, I'm just looking forward to playing music with some other people. You know, I've been stuck in the house for 5 months, and, you know, when you called, it was just like, man, yes, I just want to come play music and do something creative, you know. It's easy to be creative in a vacuum, but I want to be creative with other people, you know, and be back and feel like myself again. So I'm really looking forward to coming down and playing some of your guys' tunes, playing some of my tunes, and just, you know, not feeling like I'm locked in my home for a day at least, you know.
Right.
It'll be nice.
There's going to be structure, but we're just going to kind of do some stuff that none of us have ever done before, which I think is kind of like a exciting thing. So cool. So that's October 10th.
Yeah.
October 10th, Josh Smith and
3 days after my birthday.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to celebrate that.
That's right.
If you want to play something which kind of goes through all the sounds that you...